Hey guys, this is a quick tutorial on how to put together a VOSOT using the Premiere. We have this story about parking on campus, and we shot a couple interviews and a bunch of cover shots. First thing first, we're going to come over here and start putting together the voiceover part. And I want to remind that we need a script to edit these kinds of stories, and ideally it would be voiceover, about 30 seconds of clips, and then there's going to be a soundbite and more tagged voiceover cover shots. So by voiceover I mean cover shots, right? So here I got these cover shots all listed. In order to see what I got, I'm going to switch to the icon view so I can see it better. So I'm going to start editing, and I'm going to select the first one. By the way, I marked some of these to save time in and out, but if you don't know, you can use these markers to mark in and out on your timeline, on your source, raw clips, and then you just go and start editing these stories. And you're going to pick the next one and you can edit. But here's the problem. I want your attention on this. So you see when I edit, it's only have one audio track. But if you look at the actual interview, I'm going to switch to the waveform. There are two tracks on our clips, especially on the interview. So imagine, let's say, if I'm going to take this clip and put it on my timeline, it will look something like that. The problem, and I'm going to expand it a little bit to explain. If you're going to expand it, you will see that you have only one track here on your timeline, and there are actually two a stereo audio that is inside that one track. And when you try to, when you listen to this,
knew about it, it would get used a lot more than it is.
You will hear a lot of noise. How do you separate one from the other one? There are different ways to do it, but I'm going to show you the easiest way. So I'm going to actually select everything and get rid of it. So in order to change the setting on the audio of all these clips, I'm going to select all these, and I'm using Command A and right click to modify. Go to audio channels, and here instead of use file, I'm going to change to mono. And pay attention, I'm changing the preset side of things. I'm not changing these guys, just changing the preset to mono. That's going to take effect and change the audio on all these clips to two dual mono tracks. That's what we need. Now, if I'm going to, just for example, I'm going to drag and drop this. Now you see this is actually laying my two audio tracks on two different channels. Now I can get rid of this channel.
If all the students knew about it, it would.
That's how it sounds. If you do it the other way around, you can hear
The students knew about it, it would get
all the noise in the background, because this is the audio track that we want on our timeline. So I'm going to get rid of it again, because right now we need to put together the VO part. And to save time, I marked my clips. And by the way, you can use these markers to mark each clip before you drag and drop on your timeline. And I am going to start editing my story. So I marked the first one, marked the second one. So typically these shots going to be about, these shots typically go 2 seconds long. And again, I marked these clips earlier to save time, but they will look something like this, and you can mark a new one and drag and drop. And your story would be the cover footage part, which is typically around 20 to 30 seconds long, which it will look like this, a bunch of shots while the anchor is reading the story. Well, how do you organize these on your timeline? What I usually do, I just drag and keep all the my video. This is all cover shots on track 2 on my video. And since these tracks are empty, because there's nothing recorded, everything, all the nat sound is recorded on the track 2, I usually get rid of it. But if you click on it, you can't just isolate it. I see a lot of people, they right click and unlink it, which is not the best way to do it because things are going to go out of sync. That's why I use this trick. If you hold the Option key and select that, you can delete it, or you can hold the Option key and on the keyboard and select multiple with the lasso tool and get rid of all those clips. So right now we got all these clips with some NAT sound going in. Now next part would be the soundbite. All right, so this is important part. Now this voiceover VOSOTs are in two parts. Voiceover is going to be the one part, and then soundbite is going to be the second part. So we got to leave some gap. I usually leave a gap in here so I can throw the soundbite and the rest of the VO, and so we can visually see them as separate parts. So now I'm gonna look at my clips, and I marked a couple of these clips already for soundbite. And the way I find my soundbites, I click on the waveform. I can even use these guys to zoom in to see what the soundbite is like. So I marked this soundbite here.
If all the students knew about it, it would get...
And marked the ending of it, and I left it like so. So once you mark it around that soundbite, you can click back on the video and it will remember where those marks are. By marks, I mean in point and out point. So now I'm going to grab and drag and drop it on my timeline. Like I said, leave like 5 seconds between them so we can visually see. And we got this
If
thing.
all the students knew about it.
Well, we talked about it already. We're going to get rid of this track so it will sound clean, and it will sound...
All the students knew about it, it would get...
much cleaner because we have the lav mic of the guy. And that's my soundbite. And according to the script, I got the cover shots, soundbite, and more cover shots at the end. So I'm going to keep going and adding more cover shots to the end of this clip. So I drop that cover shot. How about that cover shot? And then maybe this cover shot right there. Right there. And you can just keep going. That cover shot, mark in point, out point where the car passes by. And so it will look something like that.
I think if all the students knew about it, it would get used a lot more than it is right now.
So now we see more cover shots, because now Anchor is going to be talking over all this part. Anchor will talk over this part as well, but the Anchor will pause for him to say something, and it's going to be picked up over here. So a couple house cleaning procedures here. So I'm going to drag and drop it on track 2, and I'm going to get rid of all these tracks. Hold the Option key and get rid of that, and now we have all that. If it's necessary, if some of these NATs, like if there's like a construction and some of these are overly too loud, what I usually do, I just tone them down. The rule is this NAT sounds have to be hitting around 1/3 of the volume meter here, around there. So I usually tone them just a little bit down so that doesn't drive the audio guy in the control room crazy. So it will be kind of ambient, but I want to pay attention that I want you, make sure that you're not muting it completely because we still need to hear something. All right, so this is now ready to be exported. Before we export, we want to fix or do this thing here.
I think if...
we are just going to the soundbite right away in order to prevent cutting into the soundbite in the control room. In the news, what we do, we just drag and add about a second of pad before he starts talking. But then there is this questions and other things coming in. And the way we completely mute that is I'm going to expand it so we can see this white tape here. And I expanded it by dragging there. I used the pen tool to completely drop the I'm gonna completely, so I can completely, I'm gonna zoom in, completely drop the sound on the beginning. So basically mute the beginning, and so he can start there. So it will sound like this.
I think if
You see, we gave him about a second of just muted silence.
I think if
So
all
he
the
could actually start talking. So that gives enough time for us to fully understand what he's saying at the beginning. So we're not missing the beginning. We add 1 second pad, muted pad, to the front of that soundbite. Now it's time to export this. And you can edit the whole thing on one time, but you can export them separately. And if you knew it or not, the way you export parts of the same timeline separately, you go here and you mark the beginning for the part that you want, and then you get to the end of that part and you can mark the ending for that one clip. Now if we go to File and Export, what happens is that this Premiere will only export this part of the story. It's not going to bother to capturing the gap here or the soundbite. It's only going to export this part, and you can name it accordingly. Give it a name and make sure you're saving it in the right spot there by changing all that. And when I'm ready for the soundbite part, I'm going to park my playhead right at the beginning, and I'm going to mark the in point for that. And I'm going to get to the end and mark the out point. So this will be the movie clip number 1. I'm going to go to File and Export. This as a separate. Now pay attention. Now it's only exporting this part. First part, we exported that part. Now it's only going to export this part. And when you're ready, you can give it a name. Obviously, we're going to call it Soundbite SOT video because it's soundbite and then more cover shots. And VOSOTs always are in 2 parts. So in order for you to successfully play back in the control room, you need to export 2 movie clips, and that's how you do it. And if you have questions, just comment or email, let me know. I'm gonna be happy to help you out. All right, so that concludes my tutorial on how to use Premiere to export and how to edit VOSOTs. All right, bye.